What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics here for the Sunday morning week in review. Kind of a busy week. We had the PWCC auctions and that kind of semi-debacle. Golden announced that they are launching a new buying and selling platform. There was the Nat Turner interview on Card Talk Pod. And I feel like I'm even forgetting a couple things, most likely. But very, very busy week in the old wonderful world of sports cards. The PWCC stuff, I kind of talked about this with Dakota this week, or Sports Cards Anonymous. It just kind of felt like a little hubris on their part to end that many cards at that time with a small user base. I mean, I don't know what their user base is, but I just don't think that they have the number of bodies to support that many cards ending at once. The super low pop stuff, I think, did well. Like the stuff that, people were eyeing up, LeBron refractors, Luka numbered stuff, the marquee cards went where you would expect them to go. But a lot of things people weren't looking at slipped through the cracks for sure. I saw a lot of posts of people getting deals, like some real nice deals on stuff. So kind of is what it is. I'll see what they end up doing going forward. Golden announced they're launching their own thing, which is not a surprise. We've known that this is going to be coming for a while. I'll be curious for the same reasons. I'll look into it. I'll try it out. I'm not going to sell with them. I'm not going to send them cards, but I'll look to see if I can get some deals. Same way I did with the PWCC stuff. What else? There was the Panini Lawsuit thing with redemptions. I'm not a legal expert. Sports Cards Anonymous did a video on this. None of it's just them fighting back and forth. There's no real anything declared other than, the hot newsy thing was Panini saying that redemptions aren't binding contracts. That was their stance. Whether or not the court agrees with them is what really matters, and we'll wait and see on that. PWCC litigation against them regarding shill bidding. We'll see if that probably won't go anywhere. I'm going to imagine that's just usually the way that these things work. So and then closed out the week with the Nat Turner interview. I did the video on that on Friday afternoon. To me, that was the most interesting thing, just because it was a long form video on the Card Talk Pod. And he gave a lot of good nuggets, I thought, in that video. Or podcast rather. So highly recommend checking out that podcast like I talked about on Friday. And then if you want my thoughts on it in deep, you can listen to the Friday video if you missed it. So I think that hits on most of the big news stuff. I'm recording earlier Saturday afternoon than normal. I got some stuff going on tonight. Ohio State plays Penn State. The Cavs are on. A few other little things. Dinner plans. So recording a little earlier than normal. So if anything crazy happens Saturday night in the world of basketball, I don't know about it yet. And also, Browns Steelers this weekend. One-armed Baker back, baby. We'll see how this goes. So let's go ahead and dive into market movers. Link in the description down below, along with all the coupon code and all that jazz if you want your own fancy charts and graphs. And dig in. We'll do basketball first, then I think football, then I think baseball. I forget the order I put these in. I just know basketball's first. Taking some long and short views on some of this stuff. First thing out of the gate, LaMelo and Anthony Edwards. We have not talked about the 2020 class a ton. I am not high on it. I think it's a two-man race, essentially, from that class. LaMelo and Edwards are really the only two that I see having any good long-term value. Sure, someone could come out of the weeds. It could absolutely happen. But in terms of like all-star level player, those are probably the only two. And I'm still trying to figure out how sold I am on either one of these two guys. I've actually liked what Edwards has been doing more this season than LaMelo. And LaMelo's playing good, but his minutes are still kind of getting yanked around a little bit. He still does some silly stuff on the court, just in regards to shot selection and stuff like that. Tremendous passer. And I've used him some in DFS. Not that that means anything for sports card values, but I don't know. I do like the leap. Edwards still seems so raw to me. And the fact that he's doing what he's doing at a very raw stage is intriguing to me. That being said, I don't know that I want to pay either one of their prices right now. Ant-Man PSA 10 Silver is sitting at about $1,600-1,700. I would probably just rather have a Jaw for the same price. Now, there are some Pop Report shenanigans going, not shenanigans, but some things to consider here. And LaMelo, his last sale, $6,500. There was a big gap. Only 4 have sold. This one for 4.5, this one for 4.4 back in, about a week or so ago. And then there was a best offer accepted at 6.5K just a couple days ago. There's no way in hell I would spend $6,000 on a LaMelo Silver Prism. Let's get into the Pop Report stuff. This is one of those ones. There has to be something going on with this card. I just generally assume they're submitted at the same rate. I didn't pull up the actual PSA Pop Report. I guess I should have. But Anthony Edwards' PSA 10 population is 180, which is extremely low and kind of fake. There are I don't know how many of these are sitting in a backlog. If you actually submit it under the correct declared value, I can't imagine that there's a lot of these just sitting. The LaMelo Silver PSA 10 is Pop 30. So I do believe there is a very high PSA 8 of all things Pop Report on LaMelo's Silver Prism. And based off of some just anecdotal stuff that I've looked at and some people in the comments and some other people I've talked to, is there are major centering issues with this particular card. So it may artificially keep the population report a lot lower. Also, I'm sure there's more of these in SGC slabs and the other companies, but most people are still going to send this level of card to PSA. Kind of a no-brainer given the resale values. But there's definitely something up with this card in regards to condition coming off the press. It's the only way to explain why it's this low, and it could just be the centering problem. If a bunch of them were miscut slightly, then that would explain it, because there's no way there's 180 Ant-Mans and 30 LaMelos in regards to total population on those cards. Once again, I would have to do a deeper dive on it. But so this is, I don't know where this is going to settle out at. 2020 Prism Basketball's been out for a hot minute now, and it's not like, at $150 a card, it's a no-brainer to send this stuff to PSA, given the resale values and the turnaround times. It would make you think that this stuff's not sitting in a PSA backlog. Plus, I believe PSA closed right when Prism Basketball came out. It was either when they closed or when the price increased. I don't remember which. Regardless, though, this is... I don't know where this ends up shaking out at. How real is this 30 number? That's what I don't really know. Regardless, I'm not paying 6.5K for LaMelo Ball. There's no chance. No chance. Ant-Man at 1,700. That still seems high to me when I could get Ja for the same price. I'd just rather have Ja. Sock Miles Bridges. LaMelo's running buddy. PSA 10 Silver. This is the man of the week. He is the new KPJ, if you will. PSA 10 Silver is currently sitting at 475. I actually ran this chart out farther. So a couple days ago, literally a couple days ago, 8 days ago, 9 days ago when you're watching this, this was a $200 card. Silver PSA 10 Prisms were going right around $200. They have gone up to $450. That is, let's go back here on the old. Just change this up real quick here. They're up 108%, essentially. So the reason why I had this blown out this way is, okay, I can already hear the comments now. If you have Miles Bridges and you bought into him here or here, you should probably be selling here. I don't know how long this is going to last. Could he be the next generational superstar? Yes, there's a chance. Could this be $1,000 PSA 10 Silver at some point in time in the near future? Sure, it could happen. I'm willing to bet on the law of averages, which say that 9 times out of 10, these prices do not hold. If I had a bunch of Miles Bridges that I was into cheap, what else are you waiting for? You know, if you bought this card, let's go back to May and assume the run up to the season here. You bought this card anywhere in here from mid-May to October. Your dream scenario is this, that it doubles up, more than doubles up almost in some cases, depending on exactly how much you got it for. What else do you need? I get it. It could keep going. I just don't know that I see that happening as well as he is playing, and he is playing great. But just everything we have ever seen shows us, other than a few exceptions, just move out of it. Take your 100% return, your double up, more than double up, and just take the dub and just don't worry about it anymore. If it keeps going up, it keeps going up. Odds are it probably is going to level out, pull back down, and level out. It's not going to be a $200 card again. Probably going to be like a $300 card, $350 card. Unless he just keeps putting up 30 a night, which I guess is possible. It's in the realm of outcomes. Is that this is just his breakout season and he is the next NBA star? Could it happen? Sure. Odds are I'm willing to bet against these guys 9 times out of 10 when prices spike like this. Yeah, we talked about it in the video about a week ago or so. In general, you're better off to almost always sell with these peaks. The one major example that I could find where that was not the case was Ohtani, where his stuff just kind of kept going. But he kept escalating things to a new level every couple weeks. So if it was me, I'd be a seller on Bridges. You know, if you could find something low pop, the price hasn't adjusted on yet, good luck. Or that you feel is undervalued, that's a different story. Maybe make a play. But if you're just holding his silvers, I would just move them. That's just me, but I tend to roll that way. Let's talk Ja a little bit. Optic, Hollow, and Silver PSA 10 Prism. Going back 2 weeks, he's probably the second hottest player in the league behind Miles Bridges right now. Both are up 20%. Hollow's up 20%. Silver Prism's up 19%. 1,600 to just under 2,000, and 850 to a little over 1,000. 1,200 pop on the Silver, 470 on the Optic Hollow. Optic Hollow was actually a little bit higher than the next sale. It was a little bit lower, but it's still overall up. And the Silver continues to trend upward. I'm going to guess this thing kind of flattens out around 2K. We'll see. He just keeps playing absolutely insane. That Golden State game the other night, I managed to catch a decent portion of that. Was just absolutely wild. I did not realize they came back and won until the next morning when I woke up. But he just looks like he leveled up this year to a new place. See if he can keep it going, and we'll see what the Grizzlies end up doing, because eventually it's going to transition into, I don't need you to average 30 points a game. I need you to average 30 points a game and look like you are a lock playoff team for his stuff to keep going to even the next level. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Would I take profits on Ja if I was into him for the summer lows? Sure, I would take some profits on Ja. Would I have some Ja set aside that I'd want to hold? Personally, yes. I have a couple. I actually only have a couple Ja cards. I flipped that one already. The disco right before the season started. I probably should have held that a little bit longer, but what are you going to do? I made quick $150 on that. Ja is the perfect example of have a bunch of Ja, make your money on some stuff, and then set some nicer stuff aside that you're then free rolling. He's the perfect player to do this stuff with, and that's what I like to do with the guys that I really like. So I'm making my money on other Ja stuff, and I'm going to hang on to my Contenders rookie ticket, my Optic Purple, and I actually have a Ja coming in the mail that I think I got at a pretty decent price. Not super, probably about where it should be, but I just wanted a card. I hate buying high on these guys, but this was something that popped up on my slabs, and I just wanted it, so I just smacked it. So that'll be coming to a mail day near you here in about 2 or 3 days. Moving right along, Jordan Poole, good example of, Miles Bridges is playing a lot better than Poole is, but the same gist applies here. This was a $200 card back in October. it got up to $400-500. Like, you had a window here where you could have sold between 400 and 500, and you can see here he's playing fine, but no one cares about him anymore. He's doing anywhere from 10 to 20 points a night. Some nights better than others, just kind of blending in, playing extremely well as an actual NBA player and fitting in extremely well on the Warriors team, but he's not scoring 20 or 30 a night. He's not sustaining, and this is already starting to quickly come back to earth. We'll see where this ends up leveling out at. But you had your window to sell here. Like, this was essentially a $400 card from October 9th, up through the 29th. Oh, basically the entire month of October, you could have sold this for around $400. Some higher, some lower. But you had this wasn't just like a single spike point and it falls straight back down again. But, we'll see where it goes from here, but it is definitely on the downward slide. Most recent sale was at 385 after it had recently gotten up to almost 500 for a hot minute. 500 was the peaks. I don't like using that number, 450, 475, 430, kind of peaked right in there, right when the season started. Regardless, though, this was another perfect example of the second it got into this $400 plus range, just sell the thing. Just sell it. Jordan Poole is not, the next Steph Curry, in my opinion. Switching sports here, moving over to football and try to speed things up a little bit here. I feel like I'm running long. Joe Burrow, probably the hottest player in the world of football. This is his Optic Hollow, his Silver Prism, and his Field Level Silver. All up this week. 10%, 14%, and 3% on the Hollow. The Hollow is the one moving the smallest. All pretty low pops on these. Silver Prism at 79, Field Level Silver 126, Optic Hollow at 187. Once again, some of this is getting a little split going to other grading companies, most likely SGC. But cards at this level, Burrow Silvers, are 100% reasonable to be sending to PSA. If you cracked one of these and it looks clean out of a pack, PSA, no-brainer on these given the comp differences, even at $150 a card. This is a card. Any one of these three cards are cards that make sense in a PSA holder if you think it could send. Even in a 9, these probably do quite well, especially the Prism. But he's extremely hot. Herbert, on the other hand, sliding back the other direction a little bit. None of his Prism Silvers have sold in the last 2 weeks. I ran this back 2 weeks, and no Prism Silvers have sold on eBay. This is his Optic Hollow and his Silver Field Level. Silver Field Level has basically stayed flat, but one also has not sold in 6 days. Optic Hollow is down about 23% with a recent sale a couple days ago. You can see the charts here. Blue line is the Select Field Level. Pink line is the Optic Hollow. They beat the Chiefs. He kind of spiked there, and now they had a bye week and things have just been kind of quiet, and now he's starting to pull back again. You can see the Chiefs spike here on this, and now it's already starting to kind of slide back down again, really just because he had a bye week. And it's done this, we talked about this in a video about a week or two ago, where it started the season high, actually dipped down for the first little bit of the season, and then they beat the Chiefs, and it spiked right back up again. And now, at least for the time being, it's starting to make that downward turn again. The pink line is probably a better trend line just because there's more sales for it, but they basically follow very similar to each other in regards to ups, downs, all arounds. So Herbert sliding a little bit. If you missed the window on Herbert, maybe you can buy back into him here on the cheap if they come out and struggle for a week or two. I forget who they play this week. But if they look mediocre or he doesn't have like an insane game, then his stuff might keep going back down again. That's just kind of the way football works. These guys get hot, they have a big win, their stuff spikes, and then it's just really hard to sustain those pricing levels unless they're just completely balling out. Kyler Murray was kind of the one example where the prices kind of sustained after the spike, but even now, some of his stuff is starting to go down a little bit, and he looks a little dinged up, and I don't like that. Kyler got a little banged up, just nothing serious, but just some nicks last year, and then he did not have a very good second half of the season. He was looking a little compromised, and he was looking pretty beat up on Thursday Night Football during that Packers game by the end of it. What a weird ending to that game. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what happened there. The talk of the town this week, Patrick Mahomes, PSA 10 Silver. This is his 9. This is his Prism, or 9 and 10 rather. The 9 took a little bit of a beating this week. There was a couple sales earlier in the week at 8, little over 8. The 1 was the one that I talked about that looked like it got shilled up from around the mid 7s. That was the middle sale here on this. This one right here, I believe, was that one. And then most recently, one sold this past, was that Thursday or Friday, for 7.1. So a 14% dip on the week, down $1,200. The 9 has not moved that much. I don't know if that's just price point. You have more buyers able to make a play on the 9, so maybe it's keeping the price up a little bit higher, or maybe now the market will react. A lot of times we always talk about the PSA 9s lag behind when cards go up. The same could be true for cards going down. People may have saw that his PSA 10s were holding prices earlier in the week, and then assuming that the PSA 9 were holding price and bidding accordingly. Or it just could be a rogue one-off. We'll see where the next couple ones go. They are Monday Night Football this week against the Giants, I believe. Boy, you would hope they look good against them. If they come out and struggle and he looks bad, it could get really interesting next week on the Mahomes dip. But we'll see. I've personally, to this point anyways, been avoiding it. There's just other things I would rather tie that much money into. The problem is that his cards are just so expensive, even after a slight decline. It's just a lot of money to tie up, and it's very risky. I would rather put that money into a really nice Soto or Tatis, or some type of NBA card, just depending on what it is. But I could be completely wrong on that. If they reel off 5 wins in a row and look great doing it, his stuff will fly right back up again, and I'll look like a fool. His Optic, this is his base PSA 10 and his Optic Hollow, also down a little bit. Base Optic down 5%, Optic Hollow down 10%. Not huge hits there, but slowly trending down. And this is kind of what's going to happen, because anyone that has Mahomes is either saying, okay, I'm leaving it up at my really high buy it now price that no one's ever going to hit, or they're the opposite, and these people are more few and far between. For whatever reason, they just want to get off Mahomes. Maybe they're already up and they're just willing to take their profits. They don't want to ride the roller coaster anymore or whatever. And it's just the stuff slipping out for auctions. You essentially, if you want to buy Mahomes on the dip, you basically have to wait for an eBay auction, or, if you have a vendor willing to sell to you at current comps at a show or a trade night or something like that. And that is not always the easiest thing to do on cards like this, because they are probably into them for a lot of money and probably don't want to move them for a loss. So they are willing, in most cases, to ride the waves and see what happens. So buying a Mahomes dip sounds good in theory, but you're going to have to be patient, and you're really going to have to watch the auctions most likely. And then we'll see what this week brings in regards to his prices. Switching over to baseball. I just pulled some, I don't have anything super specific to discuss here player-wise. I just kind of wanted to talk about, I think we're at the dead period where it's just flat. Now, it could shift down if there's negative labor news. We've been talking about this for a while. People in the comments have been talking about it. We don't know what's going to happen with that yet, and we're probably not going to know. So I've said this multiple times. I've been very picky on what I'm buying on baseball in regards to price point. I'm not going to overpay for anything because I'm really not 100% sure still where it's going to go from here. We are either at the bottom or near the bottom, or it's got a ways to go if negative labor news strikes. And if negative labor news strikes, I will want to pounce if it affects prices. I wasn't in cards when there was labor strife in the past, but if, from what I have heard, is it negatively impacted prices, I will be looking for deals if that happens, because eventually it's going to come back. Maybe people are a little disenfranchised with it, but I don't know if the card people will be. We'll see. I don't know. But I will definitely be intrigued on some bigger cards if the labor news decreases prices. But just to show you some data in regards to why I think the baseball market has kind of flattened out a little bit. Here's Acuna over the last 60 days. This is his refractor, PSA 10, nothing fancy, about a $400 card. And it's up 5% over the last 60 days. And you look at this trend line, what I'm paying attention to here is the dotted line. It's basically flat. It's slightly, just slightly angling down a little bit, because you have these couple sales here above the trend line, but you have more on it or below it. But to me, that looks very, very flat, with a slight downward. Here's Tatis, once again, Chrome Refractor, PSA 10, just base level refractor. Same thing. This is the last 30 days on him. I had to go a little closer here because if you go back 60 days, you're catching some of their late season magic with the playoffs and all that. But once again, what do we see? Almost a perfectly flat line, very, very slightly down. And the card's very slightly down 10%, from 575 to 500 for his baseline refractor. Will it keep going? I don't know. But I feel like we're in that realm of the prices are going to sit around here, maybe give or take 5% either way, at least for the next little bit. Guerrero, Vlad, same thing. This is 30 days. Once again, if I go back 60 days, you catch that end of the season where he was playing kind of great, and it's dipped down since then. Yes, but over the last 30, it's basically been dead flat. Once again, look at the trend line. Very slowly dipping down just a little tiny bit. Once again, down 10% over the last 30 from 350 to 306. And I can tell you, I watch a lot of these cards and they all go between like 3 and 325. It just feels like they bounce around like crazy. Like here's one for 330, 350, 330, 350, 300, 300, 365, 325. Like it's all in that 350 or lower range. I would love to see this thing get below $300, but I feel like 300 is kind of the floor on it once again, unless something happens with labor talks. And maybe hot stove season as well. If labor talks get cleared, we'll shake up the snow globe a little bit as well. Free agents start changing teams. That'll impact prices. Trades happen, all that jazz. We saw it in previous years with like Lindor and stuff like that. I think Correa is one of the bigger free agents this year. Seager, I think, also. There's a lot of shortstops hitting the market. So their prices could see spikes depending on what markets they go to. Here's another one. Ohtani. His is still coming down. He's the one actually outlier on this out of everyone. His is still coming down pretty hard. I don't know if that's just it got inflated because of the MVP chances or what's going on with that, or just that it was so high that it has the most room to fall, if that makes sense. This is his PSA 10 Topps Chrome Refractor, just the base level one, not the update or anything crazy like that. I know he has a lot of rookies. Started what did I go back on this? 30 days, 60 days on this one. 60 days at 731 down to 600, a 17% dip, with it still slightly trending down. You can see it got up here in September, dipped down as the playoffs ended, spiked back up, and now is on its way back down again. If you went back 30 days on this, you still catch that little decline there. But the question here is over the last 30, kind of looks like a nice little gradual decline, and then maybe it flattens out here. We don't know yet. What do the next couple sales look like? If they're right in line with this around $600 price, then I think we've kind of established his floor, maybe. But if they keep slowly dipping down, maybe he gets down to 550, 575 or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. I picked the Soto. I wanted to use this pink, but there was no recent eBay comps to match up with it. This is just his Topps Chrome base. Once again, going back 30 days on this one. If I go back 60 days, you catch all sorts of shenanigans with his late hot month of the season. But the last 30 days, he's basically dead flat. Slight downward trend, but not crazy. It's down 0.8% on the last 30 days from 272 to 270 with a little bit in between. There were some lower, some higher, some 260s, 250s, 240, but then we see 270, 269, 260, 269. So this one kind of bouncing around a little bit. His pink refractor has basically been flat at a little over $1,000. Last one sold for $1,200 on eBay about 2 weeks ago. I will tell you, some slipped through on the PWCC auction for around, I think they went for about $1,000. So a little bit under 950, 975, I think. I don't remember the exact amounts. There was 4 or 5 of them that all ended at once. And they all went for around 900 plus. Some ended they all ended at slightly different prices, I believe. So, but yeah, I think baseball, the only wrench in this is the labor stuff. If it wasn't for the labor stuff, I'd probably be buying baseball a little heavier. I am still looking to get some deals and still targeting some key cards. And actually be looking for a lot of baseball at Shipshewana next weekend. So that's all I have for you guys and girls today. I feel like this one ran long. But like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And then, I'm not sure what I have planned for this week yet. I haven't thought about it. And then I'll be at Shipshewana next weekend. Friday night, trade night. I should be there. Saturday show. I should be there pretty much all day. So keep your eyes peeled, and I will see you guys at the show potentially. Have a good week, everybody. Peace. Go Browns.